G'day guys, just a quick little video this morning. I thought it might be a good idea, being that it's winter, to go through some of the options for keeping just a bit warmer when you go camping. Now whether we go out in this, the coaster, or whether we take the four-wheel drive, there's varying degrees of cold that we're going to experience. So we'll just go through a couple of the things we've picked up, and on the table next to me here I've got 3 items that we use. And they're suited for different purposes. The first one is in a pretty big bag here, which I'll show you in a tick. It doesn't come in the bag I bought in an op shop as usual, but it's a little gas heater, and we have had a gas heater before, but this one's a little bit more sophisticated, I guess you would say, than our old one, which was just a little burner that clipped on top of a gas cylinder. Now one thing you've got to remember with gas heaters, you must have ventilation when you use them. It must be good ventilation. You mustn't leave them on when you go to sleep. They produce carbon monoxide, and that kills people. So be very, very careful when you're using gas heaters. You must not use them inside in an enclosed space. It's a really good way to kill yourself. So let's just have a look at this, remembering that you must take care when you use these things. Now this little gas heater is very popular in the States, and we see it on a lot of YouTube videos made by Americans. It's fairly recently been released in Australia, I guess. I haven't seen it around in previous years, but it's come out in the last, I don't know, year, 18 months I guess. We picked this one up, I think, from Anaconda, from memory. I'll check the price and put it up on the screen later, but I think it was around about the $100 mark. It runs on little propane bottles which plug into the side here, as you can see, and I'll just pop one of those on and show you how it starts up and how it operates. So it's in the off position. Press the button down and turn, and then push down. As you can see, that starts the pilot light. You then release, and the fire will start up. You'll see it gradually come to life and start to glow red. Now I can already feel the heat being produced from that, and you can imagine that that's going to heat up an area fairly quickly. Now I'm not going to keep that on for long because I am in an enclosed space here, so I'm definitely not going to keep that on any longer than I have to. It has a little lock on there to prevent it being turned. You just have to press it down slightly and turn it to the off position. But the heat that puts out is pretty substantial, so if you want to get the place warmed up nicely, very effective, very efficient. Now the Americans show these little gas cylinders being refilled from a 9 kilo. I am not going to recommend anybody does that. I'm just going to say that there's a lot of videos on YouTube that show you how to do it, but I'm not aware of the legalities of it. I don't know if it's legal to refill these things. I don't know if it's safe. All I can tell you is a lot of people who own these do show videos of them being refilled, and they do it with a little gadget like that, and that allows it to plug into a 9 kilo, and they refill the small cylinder with that method. I don't know if it's safe or not. I don't know if it's legal or not, but I would probably recommend you don't do it, and get an adapter for this. You can get an adapter for these that goes to a 9 kilo. So you can run this directly off a 9 or even a 4.5 kilo or even a 2 kilo, and they would last a lot longer than they do just using these little, I think they're called 1 pound bottles. We haven't made a lot of use of it yet because we haven't been going out in the cold weather. We're hoping to do a trip soon, but I must stress there is a danger in using these things in enclosed spaces. Never do that, okay? It's really, really important that these are used in well ventilated areas. So it's just one of the options we use for keeping warm. The older style heater, well, I won't demonstrate it, but I'll just put up a very quick still shot of what it looks like. It sits on top of a gas cylinder, and we have used that in the past, and not anywhere near as efficient as this, and not as easy to use, and probably a lot more dangerous. This one does have a cut-off. If it's knocked over, it will automatically shut off the gas. So it does have a safety feature in that respect, but it won't protect you from the carbon monoxide that it produces. Now the unit cools down fairly quickly, so that's already cool enough to touch, so just going to pop it back in its bag. We've got a good padded bag there. It's actually a cooler bag, but because of the padding that protects the heater, and in the front of the bag we carry the gas cylinder for it. And now we have a look at the next item. And there's probably no need to actually unpack this, but now you can get these 12-volt heated blankets. They're not electric blankets in the sense that you put them underneath your bed. These are meant to sit on top of you, and you just plug that into a 12-volt socket. Needless to say, if you're going to do that, you need some fairly hefty batteries. We've got 3 120 amp hours, so we don't have any problems with using these, and they do work reasonably well. They take a little while to heat up, but they're snug and warm once they do heat up. Again, an Aldi product, and again, although we haven't used it much, we've tested it out a couple of times, and yeah, it works pretty well. Quite happy with it. Now another way to keep warm is just simple warm clothing. Now there's something people don't often think about, and that's keeping your fingers warm. Now I don't know if I got bad circulation or what, but a pair of little gloves like this, high-tech gloves. You can actually use them with a touch screen on a computer or a tablet. They have special little fingers, and I've tested them, it does work. So you want to keep your fingers warm when you're working outside, that's a good idea. And of course the ubiquitous beanie. You lose a lot of heat from the top of your head. One way of minimizing the heat loss, just stick an old beanie on top of your head. So that, combined with some warm clothes and some gloves, will really help you keep warm when you're out camping in the cold weather. For bedding, we carry a couple of quilts. Now they're 2 lightweight quilts, which when they're combined together really produce the same as one heavy quilt. So they're great for winter and summer, because you can split them up. It's better than having to switch over quilts when the season changes. And a last item that I'm going to recommend is something pretty old-fashioned, but it's extremely effective on a cold night when you've got cold toes and you just want to get nice and snug and warm once you're in bed. And of course that item is the good old hot water bottle. There's really nothing better than topping one of these up with hot water, tucking it down at the bottom of the bed, and just resting your feet on it when they're frozen solid. Always a good idea to put a towel around them, because if you have pretty hot water in them you can burn your feet if you keep them on there too long. If you just wrap a towel around it, slip it down into the bed, that's an excellent way of keeping yourself warm. And this works in everything: caravans, motorhomes, tents, swags, and it's nothing really much to carry. You just pop a little bit of hot water in there when you've made your last hot drink for the evening, slip it down in the sheets, and keep your toes toasty warm. Well, that's it for the cold weather suggestions. Of course, a lot of people are going to have campfires, but these are items for inside. Although again, I've got to stress that with the heaters you must have good ventilation in order to operate those. Now I know some people are inclined to put on their cookers to produce heat. Again, big no-no inside vehicles. You must have ventilation if you have any kind of gas fire on, because they produce carbon monoxide, which is highly dangerous. Well, that's it for another video. Hope you found something interesting there. If you did, don't forget, click that like button down the bottom, and if you're new to the channel, you haven't seen us before, maybe you'd like to subscribe and you'll get notified each time we put a new video up. We're still struggling at the moment because we're the middle of winter and we're not going away that much. So content production is slowing. I'm just keeping ahead of running out. But with spring coming up, hopefully we'll be starting to get out a bit more and produce a few more videos. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. See ya. Cheers.